You had an interesting opinion recently on Sydney Sweeney. Now, we talked on the show about the dress she wore.
Well,
Did you like the dress? Split of opinion, maybe. So I came out against it. I love her. I think she's great. She's very brave. But I didn't like the dress because I thought you went too far. You know, and it was Allie Beth Stuckey on the show that day who said, can we draw the line at areola? Like, we're all for titillation. We love the return of actual women, you know, to these events and as the headliners and so on. But like, headliner good, headlights not good. You know, there should be some modesty. But you had an interesting take on why the dress actually was kind of conservative in a way.
it's a Straussian reading. It's an esoteric. I'm not recommending. I would never send my daughter out in the Sydney Sweeney dress. I do not recommend it generally. However, I have to point out, what was the event that she wore it to? The event was called the Power of Women Gala. And what do we know about Sydney Sweeney? We know that she's a registered Republican, reportedly. Love that. We know that just today some liberal journalist was trying to bait her into all these stupid answers about her jeans ad, and she just completely shut it down. She's got better message discipline than the entire Republican Party put together. We know that in a culture of androgynous they-thems with crazy hair and 15 septum piercings, that Sydney Sweeney looks normal, like a really, really, really pretty normal person. And so I thought there was this esoteric message, very anti-feminist, which she said, you want to invite me to the Power of Women Gala? I am going to show you a big part of the power of women. And so I'm not saying it's conservative. I'm just saying it's not feminist. It ain't feminist, for sure.
Yes, I actually love that point. I take your point because I remember, not to compare myself to Sydney Sweeney, sadly, I wish I could, but no. But it was 2016, and we were headed to the Republican National Convention, and I was anchoring for Fox, and it was a crazy time. You know, it was like Trump and, you know, just so tumultuous, and it was crazy for me at Fox because that day we had gone out to the Republican National Convention in Ohio, and that day it broke on the air that Roger Ailes was credibly accused by all these women, and that I had been cooperating with these investigators, and it was just like my whole life was on the news, and then I had to go do the news. And I went out to do the coverage that night, and of course all these leftists are like, she's a girl boss, that kind of thing. And I remember thinking, I'm not one of you. Like, I didn't want any of this out there. I was dragged into this kicking and screaming. Like, I don't want this to be that. And that night I wore this, it's like spaghetti strap outfit to do the news. And it was kind of that moment. Yes. You know what I mean? Where I was like, I'm gonna sauce it up and remind you all that I'm not on your team. I'm gonna bring the heat as a woman who's not looking to be out here in pinstripes, like grabbing people by the balls and castrating them, right? You can do it all. You can be a news anchor, you can take yourself seriously, but you can also be sort of a saucy person who men find attractive and who you want to find you attractive, right? Because you're a regular American woman. So I kind of relate to what you're saying.
Yes, you know, look, I'm all for modesty, truly. I didn't even see the dress at first. My producer said to me, he said, Michael, why aren't you leading the show and closing the show with Sydney Sweeney? You know, their ratings will be through the roof. I said, what? I saw some headline, I didn't pay attention. And then later on, it popped up in my Twitter feed, and I said, all right, got to get custody of my eyes. Hold on, let's see. Go to
custody of my eyes.
Hold on, I got to go to some other news website or something. But I thought, in a culture that is so confused as ours, in a culture that doesn't know the difference between men and women, it is a relatively conservative thing for a woman to really be a woman and really...
It's true. Let's be blunt. Gold is up around 40% this year. That's not speculation, that's reality. And if a portion of your savings is not diversified into gold, you could be missing the boat. Here are the facts. The US dollar is still too weak, and the government debt is insurmountable. This is why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from Birch Gold Group and get in the door right now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. You can do it in whole or in part. You don't pay one dime out of pocket. Just text MK to the number 989898 and claim your free info kit. There's no obligation, just useful information. The best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven. Text MK to 989898 right now to claim your free info kit on gold. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.